Barcelona are in real danger, all because of one man whose poor decisions over the years were enough to destroy the club, leaving them with the biggest debt in football history. From arrests to bribing referees to favor Barcelona, this man has been involved in a series of scandals. He left Barcelona on the verge of closing its doors. But how did the team get into this situation? Neymar's departure from Barcelona marked the beginning of a disastrous decline for the club. In 2014, Neymar joined Barcelona for €57 million. However, a scandal arose when newspaper El Mundo published an allegation alleging that the real value of the transfer was $100 million, with Barcelona allegedly providing false information about the values. As a result of this scandal, Barcelona's then president, Sandro Rosell, resigned. This paved the way for the inauguration of Maria Bartomeu, who would lead the club in the following years, beginning one of the biggest crises in Barcelona's history. Even after the controversy surrounding Neymar's arrival, Barcelona managed to win the Champions League. However, the team entered a period of collapse in the following years, and once again, Neymar was at the center of it all. Neymar's move to PSG in 2017 left Barcelona with a huge hole in attack, but on the other hand, they had $220 million from the deal, money specifically earmarked for finding a replacement for the Brazilian. Barcelona was eyeing a young French winger from Borussia Dortmund, Dembele, an excellent 19-year-old dribbler. The market also offered other promising options, including the talented Kylian Mbappé. Surprisingly, Mbappé was offered to Barcelona, but the club refused and opted to invest definitively in Dembele. Bartomeu was willing to pay €80 million for Dembele, while Borussia Dortmund wanted $150 million. Despite the significant price difference, Barcelona quickly relented and closed the deal. With this transaction, more than half of the money from Neymar's sale has already been spent. The problem was that Dembele suffered a hamstring injury in his fourth game for Barcelona, which left him out for 5 months. As a result, Barcelona still needed another striker and had their eyes on Coutinho, who they signed in 2018 for €160 million. That's right, in a short period of 6 months, and with just 2 transfers, Bartomeu and Barcelona spent all the money obtained from the sale of Neymar, plus an additional €80 million. Dembele had difficulty adapting and was not focused on football. Instead, he spent more time playing PlayStation, eating McDonald's, and arriving late to practice. This lack of discipline contributed to his numerous injuries. In 6 years, he missed 141 games due to injuries, clearly showing that his performance did not match the high investment made in signing him. However, Coutinho also failed to fully justify his transfer. Bartomeu did not recognize his mistakes and made another big mistake in 2019 by hiring Griezmann to form an attacking trio with Suarez and Messi, by activating his $120 million release clause. However, this strategy was unsuccessful. Griezmann was placed in a position that made him uncomfortable, and, after just 2 years at the club, he returned to Atletico de Madrid for €20 million, $100 million less than the initial amount paid. It was a truly disastrous deal for Barcelona. The same pattern repeated with Coutinho and Dembele. In addition to these 3 signings, Bartomeu spent more than €1 billion on failed transfers from 2014 to 2019. These were players who didn't even play 3 years at the club. Barcelona's payroll was a critical point that was bleeding the club dry. Players like Umtiti, who played less than 60 games as a starter in 6 years, earned $230,000 a week. Coutinho earned €450,000 a week, while Vermaelen, who barely played, earned $145,000 a week. It's so surprising that Sergi Roberto, Barcelona's reserve player, earned more than Virgil van Dijk, the best defender in the world at the time. Even reserve players, who fans barely knew existed, earned between €4 and €8 million per year. In 2019, Barcelona's annual wage bill peaked at $314 million, the highest in the world. In March 2020, everything fell apart when La Liga was suspended due to the pandemic, resulting in a drastic drop in the club's revenue. Despite this challenging scenario, Bartomeu continued to make dubious deals, such as exchanging Arthur for Pjanic, a shady deal. During this period, Barcelona also had to deal with the hiring of a new coach, Quique Setién, who ended up being responsible for the humiliating 8-2 defeat for Bayern Munich. To make matters worse, Coutinho, rejected by Barcelona, was on loan at Bayern and scored 2 goals against his former club that day. The situation reached a critical point for Messi. Bartomeu had the option of allowing Messi to leave the club which would have significantly eased Barcelona's payroll, freeing up around 150 million euros in wages and possibly even a future signing. This was Messi's wish. However, Bartomeu was concerned about the political consequences of this decision. He knew that allowing Messi to leave would hurt his chances of being re-elected Barcelona president for another term. Thus, Bartomeu chose to immediately veto Messi's departure. The man who led Barcelona to ruin had the opportunity to rebuild the club, but chose to prioritize his political interests. His lack of genuine concern for Barcelona was evident when, in 2021, he was arrested on charges of secretly paying a communications company to carry out online work on his behalf. This has included defaming the likes of Messi, Piqué, Xavi, and even Pep Guardiola in an attempt to improve his public image. However, Bartomeu was later acquitted of the charges. These events led to a vote of no confidence by the club's members in October 2020, and Bartomeu immediately resigned. But it was already too late. The damage was done. His finances have reached an all-time low. In 2021, Barcelona lost 555 million euros in just 1 year due to poor management, worsened by the pandemic. The new president, Joan Laporta, took office recognizing the serious damage caused by Bartomeu's previous administration. In August 2021, Laporta revealed that the club was facing debts in excess of 1 billion euros. Furthermore, he highlighted that Barcelona at the time spent 110% of its revenue on salaries, while La Liga sets a salary limit of 70%. This complicated situation made it impossible to renew Messi's contract, despite him wanting to stay at the club. Thus, the greatest player in Barcelona's history was leaving the club for free. The former CEO of Barcelona highlighted that the club was technically bankrupt in March 2021. In addition to the accumulated debts, Barcelona still owed money from previous transfers. The clubs behind the scenes were in total disarray, clearly reflecting on the team's performance on the field. In the 2020-2021 season, Barcelona allowed Luis Suarez to leave for Atletico de Madrid for a low fee, and he ended up winning the championship with Atletico shortly after leaving Barcelona. In the following season, 21-22, Barcelona faced embarrassment in the Champions League, not even managing to advance to the round of 16. Joan Laporta had to somehow try to resolve Barcelona's billion-euro debt. One option was the failed attempt to join the European Super League. Another tense option would be to sell the club and the debt, giving up ownership to the fans. Despite the tempting offer of 3 billion euros for 50% of the club made by Englishman Jim Ratcliffe, Laporta was not prepared to take this extreme measure. The solution found was to sell 25% of La Liga's broadcasting rights over the next 25 years for just over 600 million euros. This would yield the club 24 million per year, but on the other hand, it represented a discount compared to the 40 million that Barcelona obtained from this source of revenue in the 2020-2021 season. This means the club could potentially lose 16 million in revenue per year in the long term. Furthermore, Barcelona sold 25% of its studios for 100 million and 49% of its merchandising operation. The biggest deal was with Spotify, worth $62.5 million annually until 2026, becoming its main sponsor. Laporta had to make difficult decisions to save Barcelona from bankruptcy. In the short term, these measures may be effective, but in the long term, the risks are high. As if that weren't enough, former presidents Sandro Rosell and Bartomeu face serious accusations of bribing the arbitration committee to favor Barcelona. According to reports, Barcelona made 33 payments to the former vice president of the Technical Committee of Referees, increasing tension around the club. If found guilty, Barcelona could face severe penalties such as disqualification, points deduction, and even loss of titles. But they will almost certainly have to pay a heavy fine for the charges. But anyway, now I want your opinion. Do you believe that the only option for Barcelona to stabilize itself financially would be to be acquired by some company or businessman? Write here in the comments. I want to know. Also, don't forget to leave a like, which helps us continue to bring new content like this. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss new videos.